This is Podcast by Friday, episode 15.
Now, you think about this for a sec. A newbie, a new person in this business, only has so much experience in so many different aspects. Someone who has been in business a while and has experience has a different set of decision points in their mind because they've been through this path. They know things that have happened before, and so they're able to go and articulate reasons why. Podcast by Friday with Bill Griggs and Kingsley Grant. We help people to create their minimal viable podcast by taking bold action to defeat procrastination and to get their voices heard.
I am Kingsley Grant.
And I'm Bill Griggs.
And we are the hosts of Podcast by Friday.
And on today's show, we are going to talk about 7 reasons having a good mentor helps you launch your podcast quickly and successfully. Yes, my friend, that is what we want for you. We want you to not only launch your podcast by Friday, we also want it to be successful. And in today's episode, as I mentioned, we're going to walk through not only the mentorship idea, but also some things we have found very helpful in our own journey. For example, we'll talk about the kind of microphones we both use for our own show, and you will hear why, and also how you two can secure a microphone as we discussed for yourself. We'll have links in the show notes that can direct you into getting a similar microphone. With that said, let's kind of dive into then this episode about the mentorship as we begin to explore. And at the beginning, you will hear us kind of slowly getting into the show because we were kind of laying the groundwork for our own journey and why we ourselves have used mentor in our podcast journey. So let's take a listen.
I think that a mentor is a very important part of developing your business and growing your business because you find a mentor, someone who has done what you are trying to do, someone who has experience there, who've already, made their business a success, and they can serve as a guide and an advisor and tell you things that you need to watch out for further down the road. And that's what the mentor's role is. And it's very important to have mentors in your business relationship just because it gets you going and gets you to your goal faster and more focused.
You're sort of right, because I think what happened is that you're an outside guide who possibly can call you out or keep you to the commitments you said you are going to commit to, and how is what you're doing in line with what it is you said you're going to do. Mm-hmm. So I agree 100% that mentorship is such a vital role, and I think that. So here's my question, Bill. If you were to think of like 3 reasons for mentorship, for having a mentorship in podcasting, right? What would those 3 reasons, if you were to say come up with why mentorship in podcast, what would be those 3 reasons that you would come up with? I know it's an on-the-spot question here, but
yeah, it is. I think I just have to go back to the examples of the people who have been mentoring me in the creation of podcasts, and one of them, obviously, we've had on the show already, Joel Bogus. So what was one of the main reasons that Joel was, pivotal in my launching podcast? Well, he had done it before, and he'd done it successfully. He'd taken a podcast to number 1 in New and Noteworthy in 3 different categories, and he had done things like that. So he knew how it was done. He wasn't just talking about empty generalisms. He knew the specifics, and a mentor can give you the specifics, and that's one of the important things. They can give you the specifics of the processes and the best practices that that they did. Another thing that is really good about a mentor is you can ask them the should I questions. Now, a lot of times it's very important, you know, you're sitting there trying to make a decision to move forward in your business. And it's like, should I start a mailing list or should I just grow a Facebook group? Yeah. A mentor would chuckle and say, yes, you should. And they said, wait, you didn't answer the question. And he said, yes, I did. And you think about it and he says, okay, what was my question? Should I start a mailing list? Yes, you should. Should I start a Facebook group? Yes, you should. He answered, you know, usually the mentors aren't that cryptic, but they want you to think, you know, about what it is that you're doing. So the third reason, see, now this is why this is hard to do when somebody says, hey, what are 3 reasons?
But it's so funny, as you're saying that, though, when I ask a question, I just kind of, while you're talking, I was kind of jotted down 3 things that come to my mind. So once you're finished, I want to kind of share what came to my mind, and they kind of tie into some degree to what you're just saying. Yeah.
The third reason for finding a mentor is for the access that they can give you to others who may help grow your business. The networking involved, because you may have a problem that seems insurmountable at the time. You know, suddenly you came up with a new product that you want to put out, a new physical product or whatever, and you never gave a moment's thought while you were developing this product to how you would pack it in a box and ship it somewhere, for instance. Okay, I know this is not a podcast metaphor, but it's the same kind of thing. And, you know, a mentor would say, go see Joe Smith down at Smith Packing. He can help you with that. He can have something. He probably has a box in stock that you won't even have to have modified. Just put your label on it and go. That kind of information, you know, the connections, the networking that they provide, that knowledge, that is very valuable. And that's another good reason to have a mentor.
So I think I heard, if I was kind of just summarize what I heard you say, Bill, is that the 3 reasons for a mentor in podcasting would be the access to their expertise. So you're accessing that person's expertise, right? Experience and expertise, of course. Access to their network. So they also give it access to that because of who they know and can also direct you. And also access to the accountability. I think the first one you were talking about, I'm not sure, was accountability. What was that?
No. It was their ability to answer the should I questions.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah. So that would be access to their expertise.
Yeah. It's their knowledge in making decisions quickly and accurately for the business. You know, should I do this? Should I do that? Which path should I go on? They're sort of the Sherpa, the leader, the guide in that way.
Yeah, so, the guide.
I know you're familiar with that term.
Yeah, because the Sherpa is someone who's a few steps ahead, who know where the potholes and the places that may you get blow up and stuff is, avoiding those pitfalls that they know how to guide you around that. Well, while you were talking, I wrote down 3 things and 3 reasons I believe for a mentor, and this is what I came up with. The expediting of the process. So they help you to get to where you need to get faster because they help you to avoid, like some things you're describing, the things that may not work. So I thought they expedite the process. The second thing I thought about was to minimize mistakes, which also came under part of what you're describing. So that was one of those things that's so I think incredible in the area of podcasting, because you don't want to keep on making the mistakes over and over again. Why not learn from someone who've made them, and now it's going to help you to avoid yourself from making them as well. And the third reason I put that is a relationship. So you now build a relationship with someone who you may not have had before this relationship, and so you get to know this person and them know you, and many times those relationships can be so rewarding long term. And I believe that mentorship provides those 3 reasons that I think are very, in addition to what you're saying, I believe, and some of them may have crossed over to some degree, but that's what I thought about when I was listening to what you're saying. So to expedite the process, to minimize mistakes, and to build the and long-lasting relationships.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'd like to bring this back around and tie it in with our first topic, which was, knowing when to buy what. At the very beginning of the show, we were talking about the shiny object syndrome. Got to have that newest and greatest thing. If you have a mentor and you have access to a mentor, somebody who is giving you good, solid business advice, okay, the shiny object thing becomes a little bit easier to deal with, and here's why. And this isn't necessarily a podcasting issue, but it does have to do with my CNC business, in which I'm making a physical object, okay, for sale. And one of the things that I've been dealing with, and you're probably quite aware of this, Kingsley, is the decision as to whether I should invest in more equipment to make my products. Okay, and it's a serious consideration for me because the machinery that I'm contemplating getting cost about $25,000, which is not an insignificant amount to me. In fact, it's it is such an amount that as to make me think and rethink and rethink and rethink. So I went round and around about this purchasing decision, and I looked at the reasons why it would be a good choice for me to do. One of the reasons is it would allow me to make the parts in smaller batches and in my time, instead of having to place large orders with a regular machine shop to have these made. Okay, so there's the economy of scale there for me. Another good reason for getting this is it gave me more control over my product and the the final shape that it would take. And lastly, it would allow me to generate new related products and other unrelated products at my leisure. From a prototype stage right to final production. Okay, so those reasons were some of the ones that I was considering and stumbling over. And the reason I'm able to state those reasons to you is because I discussed it with a mentor, and we went over the facts that what are your reasons for wanting to buy this equipment now? Should you buy it? Should you lease it? Should you find someone who has it locally and just buy time on their machine, etc. So these are the kind of considerations that we had to go over with the mentor. And I recently spoke with a friend and mentor, Alex Barker. I'm sure you're familiar with Alex.
Yeah.
And Alex was not particularly, he's not in a manufacturing way, but he does do business building and analyze because he's had other businesses, et cetera. So when I described the situation to Alex, analyzed, what my numbers look like as far as the money's involved. He analyzed other aspects of it, and then he gave me an almost instant answer. And his answer was, you must buy this machine in order for your business to grow. And then he outlined reasons why. Now, you think about this for a second. A newbie, a new person in this business only has so much experience in so many different aspects. Someone who has been in business a while and has experience has a different set of decision points in their mind because they've been through this path. They know things that have happened before, and so they're able to go and articulate reasons why. And, rather than drag this on, if you focus on what it is that you're trying to achieve and what purchases you're trying to make, and you run them by a mentor, they can save you time and they can help make the decision process easier. And that's, the seventh thing probably that we discussed today. But it was very helpful to have access to multiple mentors in this case. I just mentioned Alex because he was the most recent, who say, go buy this machine.
So it's also here is save time and money. Mm-hmm. In a nutshell, basically, because that's a very huge expense that you would take on, but then if you're able to see that the return on your investment is very likely that you could basically make that money back in a very, not necessarily a short time, but in reasonable time, then that would be a mentor would kind of help you to see where, hey, you know what? Yes, you may not have this this discretionary expense or money to spend on this machine right now, but look at what could happen should in case you invest there. So I think those are really some good reasons I believe that mentorship, especially in the area of a new podcaster, a newbie, a person who's just kind of getting their feet wet, is so vital to their success. And I think that it's not something that, do I need this? You need this. I believe it's a very critical part of business success, but also being a good steward of what you may have, the little money you have. You don't have a whole lot of time or money, and therefore why not get someone to mentor you? And that's why I think what we offer sometimes is ourselves to say if we could be serving the capacity as a coach or mentor, then a person who's listening right now could say, hey, let me contact you guys, or how can we work with you if possible? So if that person is asking that question, Bill, what would you say to that person?
I would say that they should reach out to us on our private Facebook group. It's facebook.com/groups/podcast by Friday. And
they could also email us too, right?
Yeah, they could also email us at podcast by Friday. In either case, they can reach out to us and see if we're a good fit for them as mentors and as they try and develop their podcast. But really, I'd like to bring this back around to another point, Kingsley. Okay, let's give the listeners something that they can use that's actually related to podcasting instead of my machining metaphor. But we think about this shiny object thing, things that we run out and just have to have. But there's actually certain equipment, certain programs, certain things that a new podcaster actually does need and aren't shiny objects. So let's list a few of those things for them right now.
And that's why I think the idea of mentorship is going to come in handy, because it's a person who actually have been down that road and realized some really key things that are needed. So, of course, you need a good microphone. It's very important. And I find very inexpensive, well-tested microphone is the ATR 2100.
Yeah, we'll put a link to that, the microphone and all this equipment that we're talking about in the show notes for this episode. So I also use the ATR 2100. It's by Audio-Technica, and it is a fantastic mic. It does a lot of things that other microphones don't. It's got a USB hookup. It also has an XLR hookup, so you can use it with a mixer board, or you can plug it directly in your computer. It has a very decent sound, I think. I mean, all of the episodes that we've been recording have been recorded with this microphone.
Yeah, like right now, I'm recording on that as the ATR 2100, and that's running straight into my computer, and which leads to, I think, the next thing that you have to have is a...
Before you go there, now I just want to give them a little quick story. When I first got started in my podcast, I went with a big shiny object thing with the microphones. So I knew I needed a microphone. And I knew that the ultimate microphone was about $400. So I started looking for alternatives, and I started, I got this blue Snowball microphone from Blue Microphone. That was the first microphone I bought. And then I bought a couple of microphones from a music store. Ended up with 4 microphones from that. And then I got the point is I bought about 500 times more microphones than I actually needed. Really, all I needed was the ATR 2100. Someday when, I have a big studio to record all of these episodes in or whatever, I might consider a higher end microphone. But right now, the ATR 2100 is what works for me. Sorry. Go ahead now, Kingsley.
Yeah. And I think that, to avoid the unnecessary expense. And this phone is really is really under $60. I think at one point it was under 50. Now I think it's under 60. And it's almost like being known as the podcaster's microphone, which I think leads into then what you might need as a hardware. So we know the software is your what you're going to record it on. I mean, you're going to use to capture your recording. But the idea of a hardware outside of that, you have a good headphone as well. It's also important. Now, if like right now I'm recording, but I'm using my headphones I came with my iPhone just to hear in, but I'm recording through the ATR just to hear the sound. So it's not, it's not just using the earpiece from the computer itself. I want to be able to make it more distilled into my ears. So that's, I think, is a necessity as well. So you can invest in one because I have my microphone, my earphone that I use, or earpiece that I use, is by, again, Audio Technica. And I find it's a very inexpensive headgear that I find is work when I'm recording podcasts and stuff, when I'm interviewing people, I put that on. And that works just fine. It's very, very inexpensive piece of equipment. So we have the microphone, we have the headpiece for the listening, in on that. What else might be needed then for that person starting?
Well, Kingsley, there's a couple of options on the headphone. I mean, yes, the iPhone earbuds are great, short-term solution.
Right.
The ones that you've mentioned, if you wanted a set of headphone-microphone combination that went directly into the computer, you could get the Logitech headset, which I use. That's probably about the bare minimum headphone-microphone combination if you're trying to combine two and minimize your purchase to look at. But the type of headphones you want aren't necessarily, the latest, greatest things that you're listening to for music.
Right.
There's no need to go out and buy a set of Beats by Dr. Dre or whatever to do this. You can. You'll sound, things will sound great to you. But
right.
It's a shiny object. You want to focus.
And this is what we are doing as far as having the mentorship idea. We have gone through, we have used, we have tested, we have actually been on the road, as Bill described earlier, where someone was saying, keep it at the very bare minimum, because again, the whole idea behind this podcast by Friday is a minimum viable product or podcast to get you going. And I think that really, other than that, as hardware, I can't think of anything else that a person may need just to get started, hardware-wise.
Well, no, I can think of one thing.
What's that?
A mic stand or boom.
That's true. Yes.
That
very
isolates your microphone from the desk and from you. So when you place your hand on the desk, you don't hear it like I just did. You don't hear it coming through the microphone. Now, you bang, like this onto the mic stand springs or something.
Right.
You hear that, but even that got isolated down. It wasn't, terrible. And, you're not going to be sitting there karate chopping your mic boom like I just did. But
right.
Because the mic is shock mounted, and suspended in a convenient position, you always produce quality audio because your mouth is always in the same position in relationship to the microphone.
And one thing, going back, I think a person may ask a question, why the ATR? And because they have what's called the omnidirectional microphones, where you can pick up sounds all around. What the ATR does not do, it doesn't allow that to happen. So it's what you're speaking right into the microphone is what's being picked up. So it really reduces the noise reduction in microphone as well, which I think is very important. And also, I think of another hardware thing. You need a filter, a microphone filter, because it allows a popping sound, reduces the popping sound, so you don't hear. If I was to speak without my filter, this is what it would sound like. So I'm taking out the filter right here, took out the rubber off the microphone and the filter, and maybe my voice starts sounding a bit different because now I have nothing to filter that. I put back on the cover on the microphone. I'm putting that back on right now. And then put my pop filter over that. Then the sound possibly should be a bit different because now the pop filter is back on. So your voice popping in so you don't hear. Right.
Yeah, they call those plosives. Yeah. Generally, yeah. No,
Yeah.
just plosives. It's the P sounds that you make, things like this.
Right.
Without the pop filter, those are very pronounced, and you can hear them. So if somebody's saying Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, that was with the pop filter in place, and then we're gonna remove that from the mic. Mine's gonna take.
Don't tear it.
Don't tear it. Yeah. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. No.
Yeah. Yes.
Totally different. So I'm going to turn off my mic for a second so I can put this back on so nobody hears this annoying sound as it goes back on. Go ahead.
But it's quite okay because they know we're experimenting here. But the point is that these are some things you would need. And we're kind of using a mentorship moment here, mentoring you and saying, hey, we want you to get going and not allow yourself to stall thinking you need the brightest, shiniest, most expensive piece of equipment and get stuck with that. No, don't let that hold you back. Let's take action and get started. So as we're summarizing here, Bill, on this whole idea of mentorship, we've now talked about like 7 reasons we believe that it's important for a person to have a mentor. We've also discussed some equipment that are helpful. We're mentoring this person saying, hey, these are the minimum equipment you would need to get started. Now, we are going to put in the show notes these links. You can find them of how to get that, but also to get a hold of us because we want to serve you in this capacity, as Bill described. If you're a good fit for what, feel that we are a good fit for you, we recommend just email us and we could get on the phone and at least do a first 15, 20-minute call, and I'll be okay with that. And then to see if that's something you want to work with us further with, and we'll be able to decide how we proceed from that point on. But we want to make sure we make that initial contact and get started.
Kingsley, let's make it even easier for the people to get a hold of us. We discussed that they could contact us through the Facebook group or through our email. But I will put a page up on our website, on the podcastbyfriday.com website that says mentor.
Okay.
And so just click on the mentor tab and it'll take you to the information about how you can contact us and have a discussion with us about your podcast and getting started.
We want you to succeed. We want you to get in the game, and we want nothing to stand in the way. And that's why the whole idea of mentorship was discussed. So let's get started. Contact us today. Podcastbyfriday.com/mentor.